Morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. John here, Mr. Forex Fire. It's Tuesday, I do believe. Tuesday, the 16th of November. Yeah, certainly is. We've got that right. This year's flying over. So today, I'm going to try and do things with a bit of a twist. I'm heavily watching something at the moment on my left-hand screen. It's on the gold because I like to scalp a little bit of gold on a morning and on an afternoon. I've caught some nice profits. At the moment, I've got a little bit of drawdown on a couple of trades on there. So if I keep wandering off, you'll know why my eyes are wandering. I just need to keep an eye on something. But we're going to try and do something with a little bit more of a twist. We're going to do the 1 minute scalper as always. And I'm going to try and have a look at something which is obviously regarding trading from the 1 hour going down to 15 minute and see if we can pick something off from an order block entry, a bit like what we do in the 1 minute scalp, but doing it from the 1 hour down to the 15 minute entry, we can possibly catch a greater risk to reward, if that makes sense. The problem you get with these 1 hour to the 15 minute entries, you don't always get the retracement back to where we come to. It is a premium, I should say it is a massive discounted price. However, you have more chances and more movement on the 1 minute coming back to those areas than what you would do on the 1 hour impulse down to the 15 minute. We'll go a little bit more into that in a moment. However, I just want to show you a couple of other things as well, just to try and mix it up a bit and have a bit more insight of what we do. So if I cough a lot, don't worry, I'm still on the back end of a COVID. And it's just my breathing goes a bit funny from time to time. So I'll just get my handsome Geordie face in that top corner. Okay, right, so there we go. Get that a bit bigger. And we'll have a look at this in a moment. Bit of a shock when I woke up this morning. I seen how much this dropped last night. In fact, we'll talk about this now, first of all, okay? So we were anticipating all this move yesterday between the goalposts. We got the entry, and at the last minute, obviously, we spiked through the SL, and it entered exactly where I thought it was going to enter, if it was going to stop us out on the SL, on the order block, on this, pull back on the higher. So that would have been like a half-hour sort of candle. But we always do that path, okay? And if you haven't seen my videos, go back on the previous ones. You'll see why I set these paths out. So I knew once this was going to reject and bounce off this imbalance area, it was going to do one of two things. Sorry, it was either going to crash through that imbalance, come back and retest to 50%, and then come and take our liquidity, giving us that risk to reward of 1 to 3. Or it was going to just bounce like a trampoline off the gray zone, off this gray zone, which it had done, and then jump up, and it was going to poke its nose through our SL on this lower high. But at the same time, it was going to sort of respect this zone here, which would have been a half-hour candle, and then it was going to come down and reject. So I got that part right. Again, it came down and took an entry on here, thinking it was going to take liquidity coming back up on the upside. It came down, it came so far up, and it gave around about a 1 to 2, 3, 6. However, I thought if it did that, it was going to give us the liquidity on the higher side. It didn't quite do it. Bias was generally correct, but then we seen what happened was it just tanked. And boy, has this moved for some pips, you know what I mean? So again, 27 pips was all that was given over the last 3 days or so. This is given nearly a 100 pip move inside of about 12 hours. So there was some serious news must have came out somewhere, to be fair. On top of that, just want to talk briefly about a couple of things. I've got an FTMO challenge at the moment. This has went a little bit to the wayside because I've been seriously ill, so I haven't been able to trade it as such. Although all's not lost with this. Excuse me. Sorry, my chest. All's not lost with this. As you can see, I just couldn't trade on these days. All's not lost because the 23rd, which is only a few days' time, I've got to get 500 profits to go to the second phase. I'm not bothered if I don't make the second phase, as long as I hit the criteria of this being profitable and this being in 5 days of pass, I'll get a free roll of the dice, and then I can go back in for another go. And I would rather use that approach than push myself and sort of kill the account. So this is still very much in the bag, to be fair. It's for a 10K live account. From there, just to show you some other things. I've got my Forex funds account. This one is on what they call this is the accelerator account. So what this one is doing, it's £2,000 start off. It is live straight away. I've got to hit a certain percentage and they will upgrade it to a 4K. So every 10% growth that I get, they upgrade it to they double up. So it goes from 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16. And I'm well on track to go towards that, to be fair. I've got that in profit by about $50 odd at the minute. Doesn't seem much, but 10% of the £2,000, it's not that much, you know what I mean? So I should easily eat into that. And in the next couple of weeks, we should be able to get that certainly doubled up on the account. So this is a live account. I just paid straight into the accelerator for that. And then from there, we've got another one, which is the rapid account. We'll just wait for that to load up. Now this is the rapid account on here. This is healthily in profit, around about $342.65. Today I'm in about $60 profit at the moment. I have got some things going on the scalp at the moment on all of these accounts. So I've got three challenges as such, and I've got them all laid up on different screens, and I'm watching them on each of the charts, to be fair. So if I keep bouncing in and out of things, don't worry. I'm trying to get some accumulation on my profits of the day as well. So what we'll do is we'll head over to the chart as it is, and we'll take a look at the 1 minute. Excuse me. We'll set up our goalpost. So that's a little bit of an insight on what I do. So not only do I do what I do with these 1 minute things and do these sessions, I'm still trading at the same time on other screens as well. So a lot going on, if that makes sense. So let's just create the goalposts half 8. What I generally do as well, just to give you a bit more sort of access to what I do, I trade on the gold. My setup on the gold is trade from when I wake up like this, set some parameters away, and I'll trade that from around about 8:30. And I've got a certain thing that I have set up on that, and that goes to around about, I do believe, 12, 12:30, and then I close it off. I'll let the New York session come in on my gold, and I'll let that sort of play out, because I don't like trading gold during New York session because it's heavily with the USD, you know. I'll wait until the New York session till about 6 o'clock at night, and then I'll start looking at the chart again on the gold, and then I'll probably trade some gold between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock before I start settling for bed, and then I shut everything off. And that at the moment's working well for me. I've made a few $100s yesterday, and that's just another plan that I'm doing at the moment, and it's working well. So you don't try and fix what's not broken, as I say. So we've got the 8:30 a.m. start. 10:30 a.m. Finish. Right, so again, as we've come into today's session, we can see from here, we've got a range. Unfortunately, we've got a range again, 20 pips. So this is going to be a little bit difficult. We had a hell of a push on here, to be fair. From there, we're going to get the trusty old path out, and we'll do it from here. Okay, push up. And again, guys, if you don't know what I'm doing here, watch my other videos. This is simply, you are just predominantly doing the high lows that look and stick out on the 1 minute. You see, so you're going down to here, possibly there to here, to move to there. It doesn't have to be precise. It just has to be something where you see something where it's just breaking the structure or coming up to hold the structure. And the reason why we do that is when you look at this on a higher time frame, okay? When you look at this at a higher time frame, this is the intermediary price on the 1 minute. If you go to something like the half hour, you'll see that there you go, your high, your low, your high, your low, your high, your low. It works out pretty well. If you go down to 15 minutes, you can see on there as well, you see, between the candles. And the reason why I do that, it just means when I'm on this 1 minute, when I'm on this 1 minute, whenever there's a break of structure between these points, I look at the next highest point, and I know that within that highest point there. So let's say we've got, for example, we've got that there, swing point, and we're working between that swing point. Let's say we get a breakout, okay, and the breakout happens just above there, okay. Now, if the breakout happens just above there and it's going to keep pushing, what I could be looking for is one of two things. I could be looking at either this order block here, okay, or in my opinion, I'd be looking at most certainly that area there if we were to get a continuation and a push to come up to then respect, in essence, that whole area. It will be respecting that whole area there of an impulse drive. However, the last up before the down is that order block there, and it's nesting within the whole impulse move. And we spoke yesterday about how important when you go into these areas of contracts, which in this instance is, that would be a half-hour candle more likely, okay, as we've done the path, as you've seen, okay. If we go up, in fact, let's go up and have a look, just to be visual. So you can see we've got a half-hour candle there. So within that half-hour candle resides a lot of contracts of buying power. So as you enter this area, as you push up and enter into this area, you're buying at a premium price in the pink shaded, okay? And as price goes up and goes up and goes up and goes up, you're getting a bit more of a discount price. And the most optimal discounted price on this occasion is going to be this slither that's nested in there. And when you go back down to that 1 minute, that slither is basically that last order block, the last up before the down. So you're visually seeing where price lies on your path within the impulse move here between A to B, but then you've condensed it down on the intermediary price movement on the longer path to that order block within that nested area. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Maybe something you can jot down and write down and just sort of resonate with and realize that, yep, you've had a light bulb moment there, okay. But from there, again, guys, I'm just going to get rid of some of the noise. excuse me. So what I'm looking at the moment, before I would sort of look to get into any trade, is certainly this range on here. So I'm going to get rid of that at the moment because I know that's an area of importance for now. However, I do want to keep that there. Okay. Again, we'll keep losing our things. I'm going to get rid of that. So this is the range. Okay, this is the range at the moment from that swing point to that swing point. I want to see something broke. Okay, I want to see either that broke or I want to see either that broke before I determine where I'm going to get in at. We need a swing point break, because as long as that stays between here, and even on this here, you can see as we go back, this is covering quite a range as it is. You see, even from here, it's covering quite a consolidated range, to be fair. So I want to see a break of structure on that 1 minute on there. Now, I wanted to talk about some other things as well. So if we go to GBP USD, and I want to go to the 1 hour. Okay. Let's take a look. That might have been something I was looking at the other day, 1 to 11. Yeah. Good trade that. Right. So structure wise, we've got a 1 hour. Okay. And if we just get the path, and again, I'm just going to visually mark this up. This is the sort of stuff I like to do, just to be visual. Come down. All the way there. Now, again, what you can do, you've got your 1 hour. Right, that's better. You've got your 1 hour there. If you went up to the 4 hour, you can see we're starting to get the impulse quite spot on. The daily, that's tight as it can be, to be fair. So we've got the 1 hour. And we're just predominantly marking up these sort of areas. Like I said, it just makes it visual for me. So if I get a breakout on whatever I know it's heading towards a daily area, like on here, this might be a daily. Get rid of that, John. This here might be a daily candle entry, if that makes sense, you know. So I'll just leave that there for a moment. I'm just looking at my price on me gold at the minute. So if we go down to this here, we can see this swing point to this swing point, okay? You can see it right. So we've had a break of structure coming out. I'm just gonna, this will make sense in a moment. Let's get the fire wand out. So we come down from highs, low lows, low highs, low highs, low lows, low highs, low lows, and we've got this impulse drive here, okay? Low lows, low highs, and then we've had the breakout on the lower lows, okay? We're now anticipating either lower highs, or we can say, right, the last order block is here, okay? We've got this here. That could be involved on the daily. However, if I go down to the 15-minute for an entry, okay, rid of this. I'll be interested in this order block here, to be fair. It's very excuse me. Let's pull this out. Just want to get rid of that. Two order block areas I've got an interest in on this, to be fair. So you've got your last one up here. And we're going to see how this plays out today. Okay, we'll see how this plays out. This is not a trade to be taken. It's not a trade I'm going to be sort of seeing that we're going to be putting on the spreadsheet sort of thing. I'm just going to give you an example. So one of two things could happen today on this. We can keep an eye on it. We could get an entry. Our stop could be that there. Target area down to the bottom. Okay. However, as price is starting to come back up into this, you see this here where this was the range. Okay. This is inside of this range here. Okay, so we've got two nested areas of interest. I'm not so much bothered about the consolidation along here. I'm more bothered about these peaks and troughs as they come down for the entries. Okay, so we've got entry here, and that's a risk to reward if it was then to push down. Let's take a look. It's out there. So we've got that as a possible entry, okay, and like that. I want 6.25. However, again, if this was to push and take out the order block here, okay, we've got a lot of consolidation here. I would be then expecting a more discounted price. Now, that's going to be the word for today, okay? Your discounted entries, okay? Because this is the range, the big range. In fact, we'll make that different color, okay? Just to be more visual. So let's say that yellow zone is the bigger range, okay? Within the range, you've got all the blocks within the range, if that makes sense, okay? So then if we were to come further up, if we were to come further up and break through get that there. If we were to come further up and break through this order block, we could possibly get a more heavier discounted price, get the touch on this, and then for that to come down, given a nice 1 to 12. However, you would manage your trade if you were to get the higher discounted price. You would manage your trade based upon the intermediary prices. You see what I mean? You've got your impulse up here, which is on your higher time frame, on your 1 hour. So that's your 1 hour, 4 hour drive when you go further up. But on this intermediary price range here, as you see this blipping up and down a bit like a lifeline, you will be marking out liquidity areas, heavy liquidity areas. Like this one, here's a very high predominant one. Okay, let's just. So that's a heavily respected area. And as this is making its way up, you are just marking off areas, and you would take certain amounts off the table with regards to your lot sizes, take partials, or even move your stop loss to the next area that comes down within these liquidities as well, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make that there today. I'm going to make it purple. We'll keep an eye on that. I mean, that's going to take longer to play out, if that makes sense. These will be on longer term time frames and things. Stuff I used to like to trade, to be fair. So we'll go back to Euro USD, see where we are with that. Go back down to 1 minute. I'm going to pause the video. We'll be back in a second. I hope you're getting a little bit more sort of insight on my mindset, my thoughts on what I'm doing. We're waiting for a break of structure on here. It's heavily consolidating, if I'm honest with you. So this here, again, just to be visual before we go off, that there is an impulse move. That there is a 15-minute block, okay? That's a 15-minute. Okay, and we've got this here. On a 1 minute entry. Okay. So we'll see what happens. I mean, that's if that breaks out of there. If it breaks on the lower side, okay, if it breaks on the lower side, what could we be looking at? Nothing much, to be fair. Horizontal here. Probably looking for a touch from that. Anything else underneath that? Yeah, we've got that there. So, interesting. So we've got two areas of interest. Two order blocks on the lower side on the 1 minute. Okay, so we've got one here and we've got one here. We'll see what this marks out. So these are what we call demand areas. Okay, price, if it does break on the downside, it could come into one or two of these to sort of respect these and bounce off and then move up. However, there's been a heavily down price from yesterday later on, over 100 pips. We might get a respect into this before we get a bounce back up and sort of take out those higher areas. We're going to pause the video. We'll be back in a second. A quick look on the GBP USD. We'll go back up to the 1 hour. This will be interesting to see if we get any entries on this today. But I'm going to pause the video, guys, and we'll be back in a second. Hi guys, so it took a little bit of time, to be fair. Let's just have a little look. Bit of drawdown in my gold now. It's sort of chasing me tail, to be fair, but hey, I've got certain parameters in there. I'm pretty confident with it. We can see we broke out of the zone on the bottom end, to be fair. So now we can sort of look for an entry, and more certainly on there. With a TP here. So that's a 1 to 4. We'll see how that goes for today on a trade. Let's have a look on the GBP USD. Again, this is going to be longer term. It's got a number of pips to go before it even reaches up onto here. To be fair, you got 50 odd pips. Let's go for 1 hour because that's what we were scaling to. Still some time to climb on that. Again, I will keep you updated on this one, most certainly. These will be longer terms, if that makes sense, rather than the 1 minute where it's in and it's out pretty quick. Go back down to the 1 minute. I'll go to Euro USD. Again, we're breaking out of that, so we've got another entry possibly here as well, if that holds its structure. That's a 1 to 2.29. Bring this further down. It looks like we're going to be crashing down to these two lower parts that I was talking about this morning, where we've got the impulse on the drive on here, to be fair. Just keep lowering this down. It's all about knowing where your sort of order blocks are, to be fair, more than anything else. And it's, I find for me personally, being visual, that doing this path is very, very visual for me. So I know when I'm out of this range from a higher time frame concept, I know I can then sort of look to the left, see that higher time frame path, but within the higher time frame path, I've got the intermediary price range. So I know roughly that, yes, that spike of a move between there and there, we've got a lot of zigzaggy moves, but within the zigzaggy moves, I can see where my order blocks lie within that on the lower time frame, if that makes sense. And it works fantastically well, to be fair. Again, what we can do on here, we've got two areas of possibility. We can have a 1 to 3 risk to reward on here. If this was to break out of this, all's not lost, because then we would just target this to come back down. So there's a 1 to 3.05. There's an entry 1. If it was to stop us out, we would then be looking for the higher time block on here, which will be a 1 to 4. Okay. Again, what we could be looking at, if it was to break that one on the higher side again, is even that as the entry, and then you could have this come all the way down here to a 1 to 5. So you've got 3 entries on there, to be fair. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave to see which one will play out, see which one comes into touch to respect to come back down to, and then we'll just take it from there. So I'm just going to pause the video. We'll come back in a minute. We'll see where the price comes to respect within the range of this higher time frame move. I'm just going to stop the share and pause the video. Hi there, guys. So we're just going to have a quick look at this. We can see it's certainly moved into the areas that I was anticipating, to be fair. Massively dropped out. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sort of get rid of this one here. Just bear with me. Just get that handsome Geordie face of mine that little bit bigger. And again, I'm not, for this week, I'm not physically getting into the trades and documenting them for the Euro USD 1 minute scalp. I'm just trying to get myself back into the rhythm, because I've got 3 other screens around me looking at the gold. I'm chasing a tail at the moment on the gold, so I'm trying not to confuse myself too much. So we just get rid of some of these at the moment, get rid of some of the noise. We can see where we've come out of on the range, to be fair, so we can just get rid of some of this now. I'm looking at this most certainly as a 1 to 5.47. Again, from a higher side, there's a 1 to 7 there. So we'll get this on there. We've got these two here, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with them. There's a 1 to 5 and a 1 to 7 on there. Okay, so that's the move that I'm looking for at the moment. Again, if we go further out, this is pretty at its lowest point. So it looks like it's coming in to mitigate. Excuse me, it looks like it's going to mitigate this area pretty quickly, to be fair, before it's going to take off. So this afternoon, there is some red folder news on the USD. So maybe this is just gearing up before it's going to sort of make its move, to be fair. But we'll see what happens with regards to where we've got our time frames. The 8:30 to 10:30, we're halfway through. And you know what time that means? It is the halftime cup of tea. I'm going to go and make that. We'll see whether we get the entry on here to get the 1 to 4.39, or whether we sort of break structure out of here coming into this order block area. I'm going to go and make my halftime cup of tea, and I will be back in a short while. Hi guys, so we're back. Not much happening today on the charts, to be fair. if I'm honest with you. But again, like I said, this is just me just getting myself back into a rhythm of things to try and understand, obviously back into my thought process. Anyway, got my half-time cup of tea and a couple of little chocolate bites. That's the half-time session. So again, we've come down, we're respecting these areas, which is what I thought we would do, from a higher side on from what we call, these are the demand on the bottom. On the top, we've got two areas of supply. So we've got a first entry here. This will give a 1 to 439, and then the other one, if it was to break through, I would chance going for the one on the higher side to come back down again. That's a 1 to 745. Again, nothing really much happening. The GBP USD, we were looking at on higher side entries. Again, there's about 50 odd pips still on there. Just going to get rid of that a moment. See, we're going to have a look at a couple of more things on the charts, to be fair. Let's just have a little wander about. And then we'll mark some of it up, and we can always look back on it on like tomorrow or something like that, if that makes sense. Let's take a look. So I just want to take your attention. Okay, we were speaking about the 1 hour, first of all. Get rid of some of this. So as we've got the path, just to give you a little bit more of an insight on stuff. So we can see on here, we've come up, we've come down, we've come up, we come down, we come up, we flagged right down, and then we pushed up, okay? So let's mark this out at the moment, just see if I can give you guys a little bit more of an insight into stuff. So we've got a low, okay? And then as we go up, we've got a high. So there's our first impulse move. We get a retracement back, okay? Or structure-wise, just to give you an eye on structure, you've got a higher low, okay? And then as price is driven up, we broke structure again. This is giving us a higher high, okay? Now this is what we call an uptrend. So then we've got a higher low because it just has not come down to break a structure, okay? Now, one thing I want to look at the moment, okay? Now, if you look to the left on here, right here, you can see we broke structure, okay? So on this here to this here, there was a break of structure, okay? That point broke that structure, right? Now, we look into the order block, last down before the up, which was most certainly that there, okay? Price come down and flagged beautifully into where we had a break of structure, and it flagged beautifully into this. Now, this is on the 1 hour. Now, if we drill this down to a 15 minutes, let's just see if we can coincide. Did we get a nice entry? Yes. So you see this on here. I will be concentrating on this maneuver down on the 15 minutes. Okay, so we go from the 1 hour to the 15 minutes. Because these are so tight with regards to doji candles, I would then be saying from a nesting standpoint that there, I would just ignore that wick on there, to be fair. Now, if we just make that there grey, okay? So if I move this out, there's your entry, okay? So again, this is just, you can use this technique. It does work very well. However, the not as consistent as what these 1 minute ones are, if that makes sense. So you've possibly got an entry from here, okay? Your stop loss is obviously to the bottom of that. What you could do is, because your break structure happened here, you can target this area up here, which is where it's come back to sort of not quite respect, because that's where the wick is at the moment. Okay, that there is a risk to reward at 1 to 5.58. Fantastic. I mean, I've got no doubt that's going to push up onto that. So that's on the GBP card, and that's just one of the few things you can look at to get entries on the 1 hour, drilling down to a 15-minute order block. And see if we can find anything else just while we're looking on the charts and having a bit of fun. GBP, GPY. Let's go up to the 1 hour. Right, so let's get rid of some of the mess. We can see here. Okay, we broke structure. We've got the trends coming up. Let's take a look. Just get a bit more out so we can see we've come into mitigate on here. We've come down, and there's a reason why I'm doing this. See this here? We've mitigated into this. So as we've got a break of structure, bang, break of structure, bang. So this would be the next area here. See this here? From this to this. There's nothing come back into that area as a structure. So what I'm getting at is this here. Okay. That's been a break of structure. It's come down, it's bang, touched into the order block. See this? So that there was a break of structure. Then what happened was we come up. Again, we broke the structure. Okay. And you've got to have an eye for these things. So as you've come up and broke the structure, you're looking at this order block here. So you've come up and broke structure, bang, entry candle on here. Okay. So because this has been quite a big impulse move, this here has become a break of structure. I'm just going to get rid of some of the noise just to condense what we're looking at. This is what we're looking at as a big order block on the 1 hour, but we want discount price. Okay, so we go down to a 15-minute. Okay, there's not much of a discounted price. You can see where what we're edging towards, to be fair. You've got that to that. It's condensed it down a bit, to be fair, but again, you can go down to 5 minutes. Excuse me, I would possibly take that from there to there, the wick of that. So you've got 3 possible areas where you could get in on an entry. Okay, you've got the bigger 1 hour, you've got the 15-minute, you've got the 5-minute. You could possibly go down to a 1 minute. So each area of that big order block, so you're looking at the bigger order block, the lightest gray, each time the price comes further into that segment, you're getting a more heavily discounted price. So let's just have a little bit of fun again. We can say, right, I'm going to look at entering around about here. I'm going to have my stop loss around about there. Target is going to be where the break structure was. There's a 1 to 638. Okay, I'm going to leave that on there. Again, the purple is on the GBP USD, which is one we were looking at, and we've got purple on the GBP GPY. Okay, so we've got 2 areas that we're looking at. We'll see what happens through the week with this. These are very, very longer term sort of prospects. Okay, and again, when you're sort of looking for TPs and things like that, whatever structural play comes down on here, you're looking for liquidity to be taken on whatever steps is taken down on the way back up, taking partials, moving stop losses, moving the SL to the next swing point, and things like that. So we go back to Euro USD, go back down to 1 minute. We can see that this is sort of petering out at the moment. It's just consolidating on that lower end. I'm going to pause the video, and then the next time I come back on, we're possibly going to have a chat on an end of day conclusion. Been a little bit slower today, but I've tried to mix it up a little bit by looking at some higher time frame stuff as well. Add a bit more fun. From there, in the next day or two, we can sort of look back on those purple tickets to see what's happened with those prices, see if it's come back to come into those areas of where we are expecting it to respect. Okay, so I'll see you in a bit, guys. All right, guys, so let's get this sorted, share the screen. Right, so we'll come to a conclusion, come to the end. Nothing much really happened today. Can't be helped, I suppose. Again, I've had my mind on other things with regards to some gold trading I've been doing, because I need to get some of my accounts built up as much as doing these live sessions. But still, this is the first time I've come on for the last two and a half weeks since I've had COVID. Still got a slight back end of it. It's causing breathing problems, but it's nothing to be concerned about. However, we are coming to the end of it. I thought this may have come back up to push onto the order blocks. What we did do is we today looked at some of the little bit longer term with GBP USD. Again, it's starting to come back on the downturn. We were looking at 1 hour and 1 hour moves down to a 15-minute entry. This at the moment, it's within the blocks, 68 pips to go on that. The GBP, GPY, again, we spoke on this on what I was anticipating. We spoke about obviously these nested areas being the 1 hour, the 15 minutes, and then even down to a 5-minute candle entry. Again, we're waiting for the flag to come down to push back up to give us a risk to reward of 1 to 6.3. This might take a day or two for these to happen. Again, there's nothing wrong with setting these up, to be fair. There's nothing wrong with setting these up, 84 pips to move in. There's nothing wrong with setting these up, to be fair. It does give you bigger risk to rewards, or better risk to rewards, if that makes sense. I like to be on the 1 minute time frame with regards to the breaker structure and being in and out within a 2 hour time slot. So what we're going to do over the next few days, we're going to keep these live. Okay, we'll keep these two live most certainly. Just remember the purple tickets, GBP, JPY, GBP, and USD. We'll see if these come in to respect those areas, and then we'll have a further look to see if it's going to actually give us the price action that we want. But also, if we do get an entry, I'll show you how to manage the trades from the entry being hit. Okay, so that'll be something good to be looking forward to overall. So I'm just going to stop the share and have an overall conclusion. So yeah, today's been a little bit slower than normal. Nothing to worry about. This is all about having a look at the price and having a look at the charts as they move. Not too concerned about getting in on trades, because I am concentrating on my other stuff with regards to gold. I'd just like to give you a bit of an outlook on what I look at on a day-to-day basis while I look at my other charts, because I've got my main screen, which is what you're seeing on here at the moment with my handsome face on there. And then I've got a couple of other screens to the left, to the right, and one above. So I can actively keep it. I can actively keep an eye on other aspects of my live trading. Again, I'm just trying to give you a general concept on how I look at price action, how it moves, and what I'd be looking at before I get in on the trade. Okay. So yeah, today a bit slow, but not to worry. It's still good to look back on these things to see how I'm looking at the price action, how I'm looking at these order block areas, and how I determine where these order block areas are. And this week, I suppose that the subjective choice is about what we call discounted price. How do we determine what is the best discounted price? And we'll keep that theme as we move on going into tomorrow, which is Wednesday, and then obviously Thursday as well. I don't think I'll do one on Friday. I'll do a session tomorrow, and I'll do a session on Thursday, and then I'll have a bit more of a long weekend as well, just while I'm getting myself back on my feet and fully fit. It's just nice to get back on the charts, guys. Okay, so I'm sorry we haven't seen anything entered today, but this happens, and it just teaches us to be more patient. We don't rush to get in on trades. We look at price action. We predetermine the bias and the direction. We got the bias and the direction correct today with regards to the Euro USD pushing down to that lower side. However, we were hopefully expecting a little bit of a push up before we got that drag down to the bottom side. The euro is really weak at the moment. It's took a bit of a bashing from last night. When you think about how we started yesterday, okay, going on Monday, 3 days worth, just to let this sink in with you, 3 days worth of movement constituted the 27 pips of move. That's all that was. And then in the space of 11 hours, we had a 100 pip movement. It just shows you just a little bit of news on the TV and things like that, and bang. And I think the reason maybe why the euro is weak at the moment, from my mindset, my think about it, is there's a lot of these European countries at the moment are starting to go into a lockdown sort of thing as well. So that can heavily affect the price of the euro. So there is a lot of European countries starting to do a lockdown for before Christmas. So that's going to affect the economy that way as well. So it's just a food for thought, you know what I mean? It just helps us understand why and what's happening within the markets. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying these sessions being back again, going into the new year. I'm hopefully going to be looking at bringing 1 or 2 people on and doing these with us and looking into these things. From there, it's nothing too heavy. It will just be open up to people that actually officially support the YouTube channel, which is what we've got on here. So if you haven't already done so, please click the thumbs up, give it a like, drop us a comment, let me know if you're liking these little bits of snippets of videos. And if you can do, for the price of a cup of coffee, hit that join button on there, show your support for the channel. It just helps me produce more content like this on a day-to-day basis, because what you get with me is a real honest, raw approach. I'm not going to hide behind bullshit numbers and hide behind hindsight and things like that. I just want to show you what I'm looking at, what I can see, and what I'm anticipating. And if you can anticipate the bias and sit in your hands and understand that the bias can go towards wherever you have it at, and then it plays from there, then happy days. It gives you a better understanding overall. It's not always about jumping in on trades. You've got to respect what price is doing, respect what the price is showing you, and then you can then become a more consistent and disciplined trader. Okay, guys, so please show your support, click the join for the price of a cup of coffee, and I'll get you inside of this group as well, okay, where there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other people sharing sharing their experiences. Okay, guys, so I'm off. My car's past its MOT. I've got to go and set that up and get that picked up later on today, and then the wife's car's going in for its MOT just before Christmas. Hopefully we'll get a double whammy of good news with those. Mine's past today, so that's good news for me. So I'll see you all later on the next one in the morning. Okay, guys, see you later.